Recently, I started a glitched out run of Sekiro after I tried air swimming in a different save file and discovered some interesting things. And this video will basically be showcasing everything I found in my journey in this glitched run. And pretty much all of this is just taken from Xbox clips, so it's gonna be a jumbled up mess and not just one singular playthrough. But who cares, this is fun. First, let me explain what air swimming is. Basically, in a lot of games, rather than coding entire volumes of water for you to swim in, developers will just put points that will give you the option to enter swim animation, and then put the swimming areas underneath these. What this means is, if we enter a swimming location that isn't closed in by walls, we could go outside the map and still keep swimming. And thus, this would allow us to just keep swimming indefinitely no matter where we are. And this is basically what air swimming is. And being able to fly anywhere in the game when you're not supposed to be flying at all can let you sequence break the game quite a lot. And in Sekiro, air swimming isn't even that hard of a technique, you just have to have beaten Corrupted Monk. Doing this unlocks the ability to swim underwater, which is exactly all we need to pull off air swimming. Then we just gotta go to Ashina Castle and jump through a hole in the geometry of the game. It's literally that easy. The only hard part is actually getting the jump, and you have to also hold the A button down each time you jump to jump high enough. Though you're not allowed to just swim anywhere you want in Sekiro, because some areas just have death barriers everywhere. One of those areas is Ashina Castle, which ironically is the main area of the game and we can't air swim in it. Great. You can go below the map though, and Ashina Castle connects to everywhere else in the game. But to reach everywhere else in the game, we first have to go through Abandoned Dungeon. And to do that, we have to actually load it in by going to another swimming plane that's outside of the game's boundaries. But even after you've triggered air swim and gotten to the next area like Sinpo, you're not out of the clear yet. Because air swimming is not supposed to happen, there's all sorts of bugs that can happen with it. One of them being what you're seeing right now, the death cam. Hitting certain points in areas' geometries will make the game think that you're entering falling death animations and screw up the camera like you just saw. The only fixes I've found to this is hitting death barriers or touching an actual piece of geometry from the level. And even with all that in mind, when you're outside of the game's boundaries, you're still at risk of hitting death barriers everywhere. Not to mention that in swimming animation, you can't death blow regular enemies, or use prosthetics, or use any items that aren't drinkable. But at least we can still deflect. And you got your regular slash and a thrust, so at least you can do damage. But there's even more restrictions on air swimming. There's some locations in the game that just won't load in properly unless you save and quit and load the game back up. Among these are Sinpo Temple and Mibu Village. Also, if you attracted the attention of a main boss, or a mini-boss in some cases, you can't get other areas to load into the game. For example, in this clip, you can see I attracted the attention of Guardian Ape and then went all the way to the Great Serpent. Doing this made it so I couldn't load into Mibu Village later because I had to save and quit. And if you do that, the game will refuse to load in the area because it thinks you're still in the boss fight and will try and load in, I guess, Sunken Valley. Also, for the love of God, do not get hit by lightning while air swimming or you will be trapped in this animation forever. It's also extremely annoying to listen to. Some more interesting side effects from sequence breaking the game is that if you reach Fountainhead Palace before you're supposed to, the game will go into nighttime mode no matter where you are in the game. Which means I can fight Genichiro at nighttime. But doing this also has the unintended side effect of actually changing how the cutscenes look. Take a look for yourself.
Lord Ishinis. It's a wonder he is still with us. A miracle.
Is that so? Divine Heir, I'll ask you once more. Accept me to your immortal oath.
I cannot do that, Lord Genichiro. Your victory that day means nothing. He will risk his life to take me home. For he is my shinobi.
My lord, I have come for you. This will only take a moment.
Let's see. For as long as you are alive, the dragon's blood can never be mine.
Face me.
So you might have noticed that some things in the cutscene were different, but you couldn't put your finger on it exactly. What changed was the background loaded in all of the other areas of the game, like Senpo Temple and Fountainhead Spiral. Usually these areas are reserved for outside of cutscenes, but because we sequence broke the game, they're appearing in the cutscene when they shouldn't. These areas are usually unloaded during cutscenes so that you can get the proper cinematic shot for the cutscene. Also, of course, the lighting is all screwed up because we changed the time of day. And you might have best noticed that on Sekiro's shot.
Impressive, shinobi of the divine air. But you deserve better. Would you not answer to a different lord?
Heresy.
Heresy, you say? If it is for the sake of preserving Ashina, I will seize any manner of heretical strength. I will endure any burden. Behold the lightning of Tomoe.
For the Way of Tomoe cutscene, it's a lot harder to tell, but the lighting is darker than it normally should be. You can also see the Fountainhead Spiral in the background on the first shot when it's not supposed to be there. In my opinion, it actually makes the shot look more cinematic. But for the Way of Tomoe fight, the lighting is just slightly darker, that's about it. You have to really know what this fight is supposed to look like to see anything different. But changing the lighting like this because of the time of day works on every single cutscene in the game. You can do it against Al later in the game, or Ishin and Emma. But we'll get to those later. For now, I have one goal in mind with this playthrough. I want to fight the Divine Dragon without the Mortal Blade, and I want to use the Mortal Blade on the Armored Warrior. So let's see if I could do it. Eventually, I was able to get to Fountainhead Palace by air swimming without the Mortal Blade. Though I did have some trouble actually getting there because you have to fly from Mibu Village using the Straw Man. You see, there's a landmark in the sky, ironically, that you use to pinpoint which direction Fountainhead Palace is in from Mibu Village's Straw Man. Only problem was I couldn't get that landmark to spawn and I couldn't figure out why for at least 3 hours. Turns out I had to load in some specific trees that were in the Straw Man's area, and I didn't know that until I flew around for a bit and noticed that when the trees spawned in, so did the landmark in the sky. And that brings us to where we are now. As you can see, I don't have the Mortal Blade and I'm fighting the Divine Dragon. So I tried multiple times, and no, you cannot finish off the Divine Dragon and proceed to the last area of the game if you don't have the Mortal Blade. The game actually checks to see if you have it, and if you don't get the death blow. Interestingly, on one of my attempts where I did this, I noticed I got a grappling point onto the Divine Dragon, which I've never seen before in my 7 playthroughs of this game. But yeah, you can't finish off the Divine Dragon unless you have the Mortal Blade. While I was up here, I did want to see if I could fight the Divine Dragon while air swimming, and as it turns out, the Divine Dragon's boss arena is directly above Fountainhead Palace. At first I was stuck under the floor, but once I found the wall where the boss area ends, I was able to go around it, but that wall goes really high above the map. You might also notice in this clip that Fountainhead Palace is still loaded below me, and that's because I'm under the floor. Once I go above the floor of the Divine Dragon's boss room, the floor will load in, and Fountainhead Palace will be obscured once more. Also, yes, I am getting chased by trees. This is how the game uses the Old Dragon of the Trees branch attack. You know, the attack where they all howl and a bunch of trees come up out of the ground and you can use those to get aerial death blows on them. The game just has you constantly being followed by these trees that are hidden under the map. That way it's easier just to call on them when they use the attack. The trees are constantly loaded and always in the position they need to be. Also, the Divine Dragon is always here, even if it's not loaded in. You can see in this clip of me just slashing away, blood comes out of nowhere. That's because the Divine Dragon is here. It's just hidden until we actually go into Phase 2. This also explains why you're not allowed to get close to the tree in the Old Dragon of the Tree fight. Because every hit I'm doing to this tree and the invisible Divine Dragon is actually harming his health bar for the second phase. I don't have a clip of that, but trust me. For the same reason as the trees I mentioned before, it's easier just to have the Divine Dragon always there and just make it visible when it actually needs to be. Until that moment, it's just a passive NPC. I also decided to mess with True Monk a bunch because I wanted to see if I could fight her and kill her without the Mortal Blade. But as it turns out, there's absolutely no way to get up to Corrupted Monk from Fountainhead Palace. You have to go through the Mibu Village way. You know, the way you're supposed to do it. There's also no way to cancel air swimming in True Monk's area. Also, when I got to Fountainhead Palace, there was this weird mist obscuring everything and I couldn't figure out what was causing it. It did give the area a little more atmosphere though. I also wanted to see what would happen if I got enfeebled while I was air swimming, and it turns out it's just the same as if you were swimming. You just drown. While I was messing around in Fountainhead, I accidentally led Corrupted Monk off of a cliff, and that's when I figure out what caused the fog. It's True Monk. See, the game has this fog linked to when you kill True Monk. If you haven't killed her yet, the fog will remain. I think the reason that they did this is to obscure Fountainhead Palace if you can see it from True Monk's area. That way, if you're looking at this area from the Strawman's position, you can't see just how beautiful it is unless you've already killed True Monk. For now, I was done messing around in Fountainhead Palace and just wanted to explore a bit, which is a problem because there are death barriers in like literally half the game. I tried exploring around in Gyobu's area, but I couldn't find a way back into the map, so I just went under it. Which sucks because I really wanted to mess around in the map on this area. You can actually go under the area where Ishin is. I also never interacted with Ishin yet in this playthrough, so he's stuck in that building. From here I wanted to see just how far I could sequence break the game, and in order to do that I would have to collect all 3 items to get Owl to spawn. So the first step was Guardian Ape's Flower, which should be easy since we're air swimming. Okay, so it turns out that Guardian Ape's AI doesn't know what the hell to do if you're air swimming and will just endlessly throw crap at you. Yeah, he will just never stop throwing crap at you no matter what, even if you're right in his face. Not only this, but even if you're outside the map like most speedrunners do when getting the flower, you can't actually collect the flower because Sekiro's swimming grab range has less than his standing when collecting items. Now please excuse me while I become the new god of these monkeys. It's fine, I'll give those monkeys a lesson on divinity later. Besides, I need to find a way to actually get back into the map so I can get the checkpoint and fight Guardian Ape later. But first, poke. Jerk. I don't think I actually explained how to get back into the map. You see, because I'm already swimming, I can't go into swimming planes. Meaning areas I'm normally supposed to swim, unless I find a way out of bounds to actually get back into them. To circumvent this, I have to find a spot I can put my head underwater and then hold the swim up button. Doing this will glitch the game into a state of thinking that I'm back into the swimming plane I'm supposed to be and will allow me to resubmerge myself in the actual swimming plane. Meaning that when I exit the swimming plane, it'll work like it's supposed to now. Also, I managed to save the bridge and figure out where the snake goes after he runs away. I made a new friend. Look at this. The snake and the wolf are as one now. You cannot defeat us. Everyone I love leaves me. At least we got the bridge. Anyways, like I said, I resubmerged myself in the water after a lot of trying to find an area where I saw the swim down sign. Eventually I found it. You just kinda gotta hug the wall until you see the thing pop up. Then you gotta just keep swimming into that corner. It's so stupid, but it works. And now we have our checkpoint so we can come back later. By the way, I still haven't fought Genichiro at this point. So here's why I wanted to come back later. I wanted to kill the Great Carp, which would make it float into Guardian Ape's arena. Not only are we now fighting Guardian Ape at nighttime, but we now have an obstruction in his arena that shouldn't be there. Yes, this makes his arena technically smaller, but it also puts an obstruction that we can run to if he actually goes for his grab or something. And as you can probably tell from the footage here and later, Guardian Ape was definitely not made with any sort of obstruction in his boss arena in mind. He gets stuck on it and his pathing gets screwed up. It also makes it much easier to chase him down. Headless Ape isn't any better, he easily gets stuck on the fish. But of course I have to use the fish to do something cool, and I have to end this fight in style. I was supposed to do a backflip. Oh well. My glitch journey was coming to an end, and now I need the Mortal Blade so I can actually fight the Armored Warrior with it, something you're not supposed to be able to do. And Monkey Skip was pissing me off to try and attempt, so I decided I would do something that the entire Discord community of Sekiro told me was impossible to do. I was going to use Air Swim to get to the folding screen monkeys. So why were they considering this impossible, you might ask? In an earlier version of Sekiro, there was a glitch where you could jump through the map and fall all the way to the folding screen monkeys arena and grapple onto a grappling point to save yourself. This was the original Monkey Skip. Since then, a patch has been put into the game that disabled this by putting a death barrier above the folding screen monkeys boss arena. This means that you can't fall into the arena anymore, but that also means that we can't swim directly into it. Well, the solution should be simple, we just swim around it, right? No. See, this death plane is very, very big. Like, it might be the max distance amount of big. They really didn't want anyone to do this skip anymore. So how did I get around this? The answer is simple. I don't know. While trying to find a way around the death barrier, I entered the death cam mode that you get to if you get too close to the barrier while in air swim. While in the death cam, I picked one direction and just kept holding the thrust button down to move in that direction. Eventually, I guess I might have bypassed the area that the death plane takes up. Then I swam up really high and then swam all the way back down to where the death cam was. I somehow got the camera to reset, then kept swimming around looking for monkey footprints. If you can't tell, those are your only indication you're even close to the boss arena down here. I literally had no idea where I was below the map, because if you don't know, Floating Screen Monkey's boss arena is the lowest possible point in the entire game. I don't know if I disabled the death barrier or got around it, but who cares, it's time to kill some monkeys. Also, hilariously, if you load in the Folding Screen Monkeys, the invisible monkey immediately dies, and you can probably guess why. The invisible monkey is always behind you, so if you come into the arena flying, he spawns in the air and immediately falls to his death. And for the remaining 3, since we can outspeed them by just air swimming, we don't need to trap them. Just chase them down and watch them panic. There is one downside to this. Because we don't have the Hall of Illusion bell, we have to actually go and find the monkeys. And the last one happened to be in the one room I never find him. From the lowest tower to the highest peak, I fought the illusion monkeys of illusions. That's like 2 illusions. Until at last I threw down my enemy and smote his remains upon the tower side. And luckily from the Divine Dragon fight, I know that going into a cutscene will take me out of air swim.
Please, forgive them.
Yes, the lighting from that cutscene was incorrect because it's currently nighttime thanks to us going to Fountainhead Palace. Speaking of, nothing really changes with the Divine Child's cutscene other than the background is a slight bit darker.
If you are prepared, you may gaze upon the blade. Why is it, I wonder? Are they not loath to die? How are you? Your eye. I see. You carry the curse of the dragon's heritage.
The mortal blade, without question. I accept its power.
And because we haven't defeated Genichiro yet, this guy is still here after we open the door to the Divine Child. So now that we have the Mortal Blade, the moment of truth. Can it hurt the Armored Warrior? No, as it turns out, the Armored Warrior is literally immune to everything that is not terror. And unfortunately, the Red Mortal Blade doesn't inflict that. So we're just gonna have to kill him the normal way. That'll teach him to be immune to everything. But we still have one more thing I want to test. I wanted to see what would happen if I went to Owl before fighting Genichiro. Also, if you get the Mortal Blade before Genichiro, Genichiro's assets are not in the area to call on him for his boss fight, so you get a glitched out cutscene where he's all white. I did get this textureless Genichiro cutscene, but more interestingly, it played after Owl's cutscene, where he was also textureless. Take a look.
You plotting owl?
Plotting. I would do no such thing. Now, my lord, I must ask that you accompany me. This old bird has but one desire. protect the divine heir from those that might take his esteemed blood.
So, the dragon's heritage has seduced you too. Then there is nothing to discuss. Take your leave.
I would, my lord, but I'm so stunned by this view. I'd like to take it in just a while longer. I'll leave when I've had my fill.
How is grandfather?
Lord Ishin is. It's a wonder he is still with us. A miracle.
Is that so? Divine heir, I'll ask you once more. Accept me into your immortal oath.
I cannot do that, Lord Genichiro. Your victory that day means nothing. He will risk his life to take me home. For he is my shinobi.
My lord, I have come for you. This will only take a moment.
Let's see. For as long as you are alive, the dragon's blood can never be mine.
As you can see though, nobody is here. I've effectively soft-locked the game at this point. I can leave the boss arena, but I can't get down into Kuro because there's a fog wall there. And I also didn't defeat Genichiro to open the doors earlier. A thought occurred to me later that I could try the shinobi door, but I never actually tried it. It probably still would have been locked though. So what can I do now? I've effectively done everything in this glitch playthrough and now I'm stuck. But hey, look, the black scroll is out there. We could go collect that if we wanted to. Also, Emma has some really ironic dialogue.
It never fails. Lord Ishin disappears the moment I take my eyes off of him. He's quite a handful.
Reminder, we've never even met Ishin in this playthrough, and he's still over in the tower killing rats. So, what can we do? We're stuck. Let's go kill the Divine Dragon. Killing the Divine Dragon will just put us back into the normal endgame of the game. So, our glitched run ends here with this softlock, sadly. But we got to break the game a bunch and learn a bunch of stuff about it. Also, if you defeat Genichiro before you get the Mortal Blade, you can later fight Owl or Emma and Ishin at nighttime, which I have elsewhere on my channel. Check the description for that video. Anyways, thanks for watching, and like so more people can see it.